Okay, let's unpack this. We've got this preliminary assessment from the UN Environment Program, and it's looking at the environmental fallout from the conflict in Gaza. A really tough, really urgent subject.
Wait.
So our mission here in this deep dive is to focus in, really zero in on the most immediately threatening environmental aspects the report brings up.
Yeah, and what jumps out right away is just the sheer scale of the damage. It's unprecedented compared to past conflicts there.
Unprecedented. And the report flags the collapse of essential services too, right? Sewage, waste management.
Exactly. Total system failures, basically. And that has huge knock-on effects for the environment.
So where does that impact start? I guess with the sheer amount of rubble.
Definitely. The report talks about a massive debris challenge. The figure is over 39 million tons as of May 2024.
39 million tons.
Yeah.
That's hard to grasp.
It is. They give a comparison. It's over 13 times the debris from all the previous Gaza conflicts combined since 2008.
Wow.
Yeah, or think of it like this. Over 107 kilograms of debris for every single square meter of Gaza.
Just everywhere. But it's not just concrete, is it? The report stresses what's in the debris.
Precisely. That's the critical danger. It's full of hazardous stuff, unexploded ordnance or UXOs, and really concerningly huge amounts of asbestos. Maybe 800,000 tons potentially contaminated, especially from damaged older buildings like in refugee camps.
800,000 tons of asbestos.
Plus other hazardous chemicals, industrial waste, and tragically human remains mixed in.
So it's dangerous just to be around, let alone clean up. What are the main risks there?
Well, the UXOs are an immediate physical threat, obviously, explosions, but the dust itself, that's a huge long-term health hazard. All that pulverized material, potentially laced with heavy metals, asbestos fibers, breathing that in can cause serious lung diseases, sometimes years down the line.
And hazardous materials seeping into the ground.
Yeah, contaminating soil, potentially water sources. The cleanup is just monumental. They estimate, 5 to 15 years, and needing huge areas just for disposal. Sustainable management, like recycling, is vital, but incredibly challenging in this context.
Okay, let's shift to water. The report paints a pretty dire picture there, too.
Dire is the word. 57% of water infrastructure damaged or destroyed. Water production is down to less than 5% of normal levels.
Less than 5%. So what are people drinking? And what happens to the wastewater?
Well, that leads to maybe the single biggest immediate environmental threat, untreated sewage. They estimated 60,000 cubic meters every day just flowing out into the environment, mostly into the Mediterranean.
60,000 cubic meters a day.
Yeah. Contaminating beaches, coastal waters, soil, and crucially, the coastal aquifer, which is the main source of groundwater.
And that aquifer was already in trouble before this conflict, wasn't it?
Deep trouble. Nitrate levels were already like 6 times the WHO limit pre-conflict now. It's facing this onslaught of sewage pathogens, chemicals, plus pesticides from damaged farms, and more saltwater intrusion because people are desperate and overpumping any well they can find.
Which explains the health crisis we're hearing about.
Directly. You see reports of waterborne diseases like diarrhea in children spiking 25 times the pre-conflict rate. People are forced to use unsafe water. It's horrific.
Beyond the debris and the sewage, there's the contamination from the weapons themselves.
Yes. The sheer volume of explosives used is, staggering. One estimate mentioned over 25,000 tons since October 7th.
25,000 tons.
And munitions contain heavy metals, toxic explosive chemicals like TNT, RBX. These don't just disappear.
How do they pose a threat?
They contaminate soil and water, can harm ecosystems directly, and they can bioaccumulate.
Meaning they build up in the food chain.
Exactly, potentially reaching humans. They persist for decades and are linked to serious health problems, including cancer. We know from past conflicts that bomb craters showed elevated heavy metal levels.
And it's not just munitions, right? Other hazardous sources.
Right. Chemicals from destroyed industrial sites. The Gaza industrial estate was completely flattened. Waste from damaged hospitals, medical waste, and hazardous stuff ending up in informal dump sites because there's no other option.
Even solar panels contribute.
Yeah, the report estimates over 1,600 kilograms of lead released just from destroyed solar panels. Clearing all this, especially the unexploded munitions, is going to take years and years. Experts are very clear on that.
And what about the land itself? Agriculture.
Severe impacts there, too. Significant damage to cropland, over 42%. And tree crops, olive groves, orchards, something like 44 to 52% damage.
So lost food production, but also environmental damage.
Yes. The physical destruction, soil getting compacted by heavy vehicles, loss of vegetation, it makes the land much more vulnerable to erosion, even desertification. And overlay that with the contamination risk we just talked about, heavy metals, chemicals in the soil. It raises serious questions about future food safety, long-term soil fertility. It's devastating for livelihoods and food security.
Finally, the report touches on air pollution.
It does. Open source data is limited, but satellite data clearly shows a huge increase in fires compared to previous years. widespread
It's
fires,
burning.
buildings, infrastructure, industrial sites, but also waste being burned in the open because collection systems have collapsed, and people burning whatever they can find for cooking or warmth. All that smoke releases toxic fumes, especially from plastics and synthetics, hazardous chemicals, heavy metals, particulate matter.
Leading to breathing problems.
Immediately, yes. Respiratory, cardiovascular issues, especially risky for children, the elderly. And long-term exposure increases risks of chronic diseases, cancer.
So putting it all together, this UNEP assessment, even just this preliminary look, reveals just widespread, critical environmental damage.
It really does. It shows the conflict's impact isn't just the immediate destruction. It's creating these urgent, long-lasting environmental crises. Contamination, broken infrastructure, degraded resources.
But when you think about the future, the sheer scale of this hazardous debris, the sewage overwhelming the water systems, the chemical contamination everywhere, it just highlights how incredibly complex and urgent recovery will be.
It's on a scale we haven't really seen there before.
Which leads to a crucial question, I think. Given this unprecedented level of environmental devastation, how does this reshape the very possibility of rebuilding? Not just buildings, but rebuilding healthy lives, ecosystems, and a sustainable future for the people in Gaza. That's something really heavy to consider.